Good morning, everyone. So I came within that much of not realizing that I hadn't lifted the lid off my camera this close. I thought, why does that look so dark? Oh, it's episode 474. Keen, but slow, which is a hell of a way to describe somebody who is trying to guide you through the pitfalls of life, isn't it? So, for those of you who are just joining us, well, even if you've been here a lot, I'm still Abby Hagyard. I'm Abby Hagyard, and there was a window in my life about 10 years long when I did a lot of work in television. And by random, happy, fabulous accident, the work I did in television was syndicated everywhere. And so it was random, happy, fabulous for the Care Bears. But, and while we all loved You Can't Do That on Television, and Mom, and the kids, and Dad, that particular costume and that particular character do not inspire confidence now. So, it's a blessing in disguise in so many ways. What it does do, all joking and what the hell was I just doing aside, it was an amazing opportunity to connect with some people over the last few days. There has been a gratifying spike in, well, good morning, Miss Maggie. Gratifying spike in the number of viewers on the LinkedIn platform, which is lovely because so much of what I'm talking about is how we manage our internal CEO. It doesn't matter if we have a job or own a job or we navigate our families. We are all CEOs in our own lives. And the chief executive function is, by definition, one with many hats. And we hit a wall that we don't understand unless it gets explained, which I'm about to do. I'm going to take a sip of my lovely hot beverage and dig in. Join me. Incredible. Wonderful, happy accident. I said, I wonder what happens if I put hot chocolate in my coffee. The rest is history. So scientists have been poking away at our brains to figure out what on earth are you doing? And what they have discovered in the not that long ago, far away, is that among the many functions that our brains perform beautifully, there are three areas that do a significant amount of work. They're all busy and they're all contributing important stuff, but the three areas that everybody talks about in the scientific community: the subconscious, the primitive brain that has been with us since we crawled out of the ooze and said, my feet are wet and I can't stand it. And then the conscious brain that is paying attention and understanding and thinking and talking and abstract creating kind of stuff. And then this area in the front, it's actually called prefrontal cortex, prefrontal cortex. This part develops in our late teens, early 20s. And that's the area that connects conscious and subconscious that don't have no idea that each other even exists. So this is kind of the go-between. This is the middleman. But it's also the area where we develop our values, our relative values, our ability to prioritize, our cause and effect. And the silly thing that I say is there's 2 times to get drunk: in and around a final exam, and the wrong one is the night before. Just saying, because did you want to pass? And if you don't have a prefrontal cortex actively functioning, you see a lot of self-sabotage going on that we're not even really aware of. Gradually, we say, that hurt the last time. What are the chances it hurts again? That's the prefrontal cortex. So what I wanted to talk about today, in the increasing barrage, onslaught of screaming and yelling and ranting and jumping up and down and beating of drums and chests, and generally keeping everybody wound up, is the real feeling that everything is too much of a muchness. It's too negative. It's negative all the time. A little negativity, all right. It's like salt and pepper, okay, but not all of it all the time, really. And we begin to think that that's all there is, and it's exhausting. We don't know why it's exhausting unless we kind of walk through it, but usually we're too tired. Well, good morning, Susan. How lovely to see you, my dear. What an incredible conversation yesterday. Just what an incredible conversation. Your Mr. Mike, he's just fabulous, isn't he? Well done. Well done. Um, we what I'm talking about today is negativity. I thought that might be helpful. All things considered. And what we are discovering about the brain is the subconscious brain is not aware that anything has changed from its primitive early days. So it's hundreds of thousands of years old. It doesn't know we don't still live in a cave. It doesn't know that we have more than one tribe. It doesn't know that we are CEOs in our own lives. It's pre-verbal. So it doesn't understand people talking. That's just noise. And therefore, laughably, some of these motivational people who say you can control your emotions. Well, not by talking to yourself, you can't. You have to retrain. You have to, yes, he is. You have to retrain it another way. You can't retrain your subconscious brain by talking to it, because the subconscious brain is looking at you and saying, lips are moving, no idea what that noise is. Gotta go, busy. That's really what happens. And so conscious brain says, I'm in charge and I'm going to make sure everything's fine. They're there. They're there. Yeah. Take the sharp, pointy thing away from the conscious brain. It's delusional. And the prefrontal cortex is saying, really? Could we all just work together on this? And that's what's going on all the time in our brains. And we don't know that. However, scientists and some very, very clever psychiatrists and psychologists have taken me under their wings and explained things to me. And I have said, well, that explains a lot. And in the process that Gary and I have been developing over the last few years in creating this really different kind of executive training and coaching, executive, not merely CEO, but executive function training and coaching for success, bigger than success, resilience. We have realized all the little unconscious habits that we have that are unhelpful. And as long as we don't know they're unhelpful, we keep doing them. Why? Because we can't fix what we can't see. So part of this lion effect training, this moment when we are doing, we're doing, and all of a sudden we say to ourselves, why am I still doing that? What is wrong with me? I don't want to do that anymore. I haven't wanted to do it for the last, eon. And we stop. And the minute we have that moment of recognition, the minute we say, is called Pivotry in motion, because we're spinning, the world is spinning. And all of a sudden our brain says, wait, what? No. Now what? That is the moment when you are ready for us. And it's exciting and it's magical because so many of us are ready for this kind of training, right? So these videos for the last 473, this is 474, for the last 473 ABCASTs, these are the introductions to your opposites, really. Your turnaround moments, your aha, you all have two of those, and does that one come in blue? That's what these are for. These are absolutely free. You can share them with your friends. You can take notes. You can walk away and say to yourself, I think maybe I need to reach out and talk to her, which is what Susan did many years ago, which is what Maggie did. It's what all of my clients end up doing. They hear something, see something, and think, you know what, I think I'm ready to reach out to her. And then they do. The thing is, and I was pointing this out to Maggie this morning, lots of people are reaching out. All of a sudden, lots of people are saying, wait, what? Lots of people are all of a sudden saying, I'm done. That this isn't working. And continuing to do it this way isn't going to work any better because it's not working now. And they're contacting. Thank goodness. Good morning. Good morning, Rhea. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about our stuff. And what I'm talking about today is negativity and how it can be positive. And so the conversation today that I want to have is, how is it remotely possible? Is it remotely possible that we can turn negativity into something positive, into something useful, into something that actually becomes a productive process? And the answer is yes, we can. The first thing we have to do is understand why we crave negativity in the first place. Okay, so another quick sip, and we're going to dive in. So, primitive brain had one job. Well, good morning, Freddie. Rhea says Freddie's here. I still can't see your comments, but thank you, Rhea. Good morning, Freddie. Freddie has somehow managed to push a button of some kind, and I can't see his comments until my video's done. And then I go and check what everybody said on Facebook or on LinkedIn. No idea why. Don't understand it, because it's technology. And I'm Abby Hackyard. So here's the see, there's no point in being negative about technology. It's just saying, yeah, whatever. Don't touch that. So what happens to us when we forget that this brain at the back, which does 95% of the work of keeping us alive, 95%, the breathing, the heart beating, trigger the hormone to make us hungry, trigger the other hormone to make us sleepy, trigger the hormone to scare the living crap out of us. That brain is busy. That guy is the maintenance guy, working on the furnace in the building, really. And ignores us unless all of a sudden he has to say, hey, stop that. We ignore him, her, them, until we have to say, hey. So most of the time, it's kind of a blissful ignorance of the functions that we are doing. When I say that the subconscious brain's primary job is to keep us alive, what I mean by that is the subconscious brain's full job is remaining alert to threats to our status quo. Why does that matter? Good morning, Rob. What's going on? What's going on in your corner of the world? That teaser for our conversation looks amazing, Rob. I can't wait. It's on July 11th. It's going to be up on July 11th. Any idea what time? Tell everybody, right? And then we can share it. And how we find it. So if the only thing that the subconscious brain is really doing all the time is keeping us alive, the reason it wants the status quo is because if it ain't broke, why fix it? Did it work? Then don't fix it. Don't change it. Don't improve the damn thing if it worked. July 11th, 4 p.m. Awesome. Okay. So what we get to perceive, understand, grasp is that this massive brain, its only job is to keep us alive. How it does that is by maintaining full focus on threats. What was that? Was that dangerous? Are you sure? That's what it does 24/7. It stays alert to threats and responds faster than anyone could imagine. That means that from the time we were invented, born, our primary force, drive, focus has been negativity, has been threat, has been fear, because that's how you stay alive. That's what that brain pushes us to. When you live in a fear-based environment, you don't have room or time for intelligent thought. You don't have time to debate, to wonder if we need a size 6 or a size 7. You just put something on your feet and go, because it's life or death. That's what that brain is doing all the time. As a result of that, because the subconscious brain is our automatic pilot, our autopilot, when we're not paying attention, it's automatically choosing things for us. And at every possibility, it chooses to alert to threats all the time, never not. Since it doesn't understand words, because it's pre-verbal, what it does understand, what it does respond to, is energy and emotion, because those are the signals. If we are hyper, if somebody is yelling, if people are running, if there are loud, sudden noises, if it's a sunny day and the sky opens up and there's thunder and lightning, that brain is on top of it. That brain is going to get us where we need to go. As a result, that is the radio frequency it's tuned to. That is the incoming data frequency it's tuned into. Anything that sounds like a threat, anything that sounds like an alarm, because our only responses in the face of threat. Hang on a second. This is not a threat. So Rob is saying our fabulous, fabulous conversation will be on Rob's YouTube channel, and his YouTube channel is called Life Rewired Podcast, right? So we're going to look for that on July 11th at 4 p.m. I can't wait. All right, back to threat assessment. So it doesn't understand words. It doesn't know that we're watching Gone in 60 Seconds. It doesn't know that we're watching me cooking. It doesn't know that we're watching a race car on a racetrack crash. It doesn't know that we're watching a science fiction computer-generated battle. It sees danger. And what it triggers in us is a craving for salty, crunchy, sweet, high fat content snacks, because those rev up our readiness to attack. Nobody says, would you like me to cut the crusts off your watercress sandwich during the Super Bowl? Nobody says, who wants some comforting cream of tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich? No, they want primitive stuff, because it fuels that adrenaline rush, so that we do, because this brain does not know we're watching football. This brain thinks we're watching a genuine attack. And that fear-based brain gives us very, very limited options. In a fear-based state, in a readiness to fight a state, it is fight, which is attack. It is flee, which is retreat. It is freeze, which is invisible. I'm not even here, don't blink. Which is hide, which means I don't have the ability to do any of the first three. Hiding is my only option. Go to ground, go to cave. And the last one that people never talk about, they talk about fight, flee, freeze, hide. They never talk about the fifth one. And the fifth one is comply. The fifth one is join forces with the enemy. The fifth one is give up my purpose and walk with them. Those are the only 5 things, the only 5 behaviors, the only 5 immediate knee-jerk responses our subconscious brain is capable of triggering. So, the opportunity to survive is made so much more possible if we practice. Practice makes perfect. That's why hockey players and football players and soccer players and all kinds of competitive athletes train. They train in an environment that feels like the game. They use a playbook that is designed to replicate the actual confrontations and the possible permutations, correct? In business, when you get together and do a team meeting and you do a practice run, that's the playbook. It's how, and it's why Macy's doesn't tell Gimbals. The playbook is not something we share. Why would I tell them how I'm going to win? That's why they have scouts and they have sneaks watching to see if they can suss out what we're going to do in order to overcome, in order to be the fastest fleeing, in order to be the first one on the battlefield, in order to find the safest spot in the cave. In order to find the most dense foliage for camouflage. In order to find the toughest, biggest, loudest, baddest enemy and wave a white flag. That's what the subconscious brain is doing all the time. So if we get to practice, we get gooder at it, right? If we get to practice running, if we get to practice hiding, if we get to practice attack in all the different ways, if we get to practice pumping ourselves up big and yelling louder, if we get to practice camouflage, think how much safer we're going to feel. Think how good it's going to be and how it's going to feel to know that we are in the darkest part of the cave. Think how amazing it's going to be when everybody else is screaming and running and doesn't know what to do. We have been there. We have seen it. We have watched it over and over. We know we can get there first. We can make it happen, right? That's what practice does. That's what polishing does. That's what honing the sharpness of our blades. That's what that does. And because our subconscious brain cannot tell the difference, that is why we are fixated on the loudest, yellingest, most toxic, negative, grumpy, snipey, snarky, kvetchy people. Because they sound like early warning signals. They sound like a tribe that is on alert. They sound like the safest place to hide. And how excited we are, the adrenaline rush, the craving to, yeah. To find the alpha energy in the room, in the meeting, at the sales pitch, on the front lines, and stand next to and look proud. So in a weird, crazy way, I know, I sound demented, except that the longer you think about it, that's why a lot of storm chasers have candy bags and glove comp. Yes, Ray is a storm chaser and loves takes pictures of storms, and it looks like we're going to get one this afternoon. Yes, yeah, it's feeding the adrenaline. It's feeding the cortisol. In a way, it's kind of a dopamine hit as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's all exciting because you watch some of these videos and they say we're in a great spot, and you look at this thing coming and you think, could you define the word great? Is the word safe anywhere in there? Are you completely out of your mind? Do you understand how fast that thing can pick up whatever that is you're driving? Do you care? Are you going to try and throw your camera beyond the tornado in the hope that someone gets the picture and posts it? I see. Good to know. I'm not standing next to you. You've lost your mind, would be me. That would be my reaction. I'll just go over here. So this is what I wanted to talk about today, because people are saying, oh my God, there's so much negativity. And we also ourselves we fall into this kind of weird rut. We start talking about something perfectly normal. And the next thing we know, we can hear ourselves. Like, we don't know when we shifted gears, when we segued. We were talking about something perfectly normal, and all of a sudden, I'm about something else. How did I do that? Where was that shift? I don't remember seeing that roundabout. And the reason for that is the momentum. The reason for that is the recognition that our subconscious brain is that fast, is that powerful. Can we do something about it? Yeah. Yeah. So Gary and I have developed some ideas and some code words so that we can practice them ourselves and get good at them, and then share them with others. So one of the code conversations is it this close? Is it arm's length? Or is it beyond? If it's this close, then we need perspective. If it is too close for us to get a better perspective, we need to take steps back. We need to take 5 actual physical steps back, 5 emotional steps back. We need to come up with, what is the perspective? What is the context? You can't focus on how messy a kitchen is if you're standing staring at the sink. You need to go back and stand at the doorway and catch the whole view, and then stop yourself from running, which is what I do. So you need perspective. Arm's length is as far as your perspective should be. If it's something that you can actually physically make a difference to, you can actually, yeah, Susan is right. We've got some planetary energy going on, because all planets have gravitational pull. And so one of the planets is going the other way, and we're going to be having a full moon. And then there's this spate of storms that is around us, and we're having a heat wave. So all of that combined is kind of a mess. A nice cold basement is probably an option. And by the way, part of this, if it's too close, we need space. Our comfort zone on an elevator is actually not full arm's length. Our comfort zone in an elevator is if you bring your elbow back to your body, so it's your forearm, that's our comfort zone space. I'm standing on an elevator and a person gets on the elevator and it's an empty elevator and they stand that close to me, I'm backing up because they're in my space. People will invade your space in order to intimidate and distract you, in order to control a conversation. It happens all the time. In a crowded elevator, we make allowances. If there's 10 of us in an elevator and the capacity is 12, we're not going to get that kind of space. We're not going to get this, whatever that is, 18 inches. We're not going to get that. 2 feet, 2 feet. We're not going to get that. 3 feet is a real comfort zone. 2 feet is acceptable. Less than 12 inches is uncomfortable unless it's crowded, in which case something happens and we consider ourselves to be a tribe, a pack, a herd, and we're all facing the door. We're not facing each other. We're all facing the door because that's the exit. And most of us are looking at the numbers going down. How long are we here, right? That's what we do. So our comfort zone for safety that stops us from panicking is those personal distances. How do we know we're panicking? We're breathing from the top here. Shallow chest breathing is the kind of thing you do when you've been running, when you've been exerting yourself, when you had lifting something heavy, you put it down. Oh God, to get your breath back. It's the wrong way because it's shallow breathing. If you can stomach breathe, which is just below your diaphragm, just below your chest, breathing from there, filling your belly with air to get full, deep, slower breaths. You know how they say count to 3 on the inhale, count to 3 on the exhale, count to 3 to hold it in between. That slows your breathing down. That slows the panic down. That slows down the freeze, fight, flee, hide, comply, panic. The minute you slow the panic, you can think strategically. You can respond with intention rather than react. Like when the doctor pokes your knee with that little hammer and your leg goes perp. That's not a thoughtful response. That's a knee-jerk reaction. Knee-jerk reaction, literally. We can own the size of negativity. We can serve ourselves a smaller portion of negativity. You know, one of the things you do when you want to cut back on calories is you use smaller plates and you're only allowed one trip. You can do the same with negativity. If you want to catch up on what's going on, fine. 10 minutes. Set a timer. Shut it off. Write down on a notepad after when you've shut it off, 10 minutes, shut it off. What's the overall takeaway? How do you feel about what you saw? Don't climb into, and he said it, and I don't think, no. What's your takeaway? How do you feel about the things you saw? How do you feel? Not how do you think? Not how is your fight response? How do you feel having listened to that for 10 minutes, having looked at that for 10 minutes? You go to a meeting, there's somebody annoying in the meeting. You sit there, you deal with it, you put up with it. You leave the meeting and you go outside. Do not turn to a colleague and litigate what just happened. Colleague says, can you believe that? You say, I know, right? I'll be right back. I have to go to the bathroom. And disappear because they're hungry to keep it going. And it's highly addictive. Why? Because it's a survival mechanism. Unless you're not in a survival situation. And then it's a stalling tactic. It's, Susan and I invented many years ago, it's a cheese doodle moment. So what we have here is a failure to understand what the subconscious brain is communicating. What we have here is a failure to communicate with each other in a meaningful way that accomplishes something. So what I want to give you is a hack that works. It's very simple. So simple. You ready? Okay. You get a piece of something and you get a weapon of mass construction. And the reason I ask people to do it old school. So yeah, of course you can do it on your phone. Of course you can do it on your keyboard. But when you do it old school, when you actually use a weapon of mass construction and you actually write it down, the pattern gets set more quickly, more deeply, permanently when you do it this way, because this goes straight there. All the other stuff is arm's length, is detached. And what we're doing here is we are teaching ourselves vital comprehension skills. You know, you're in the jungle and you see smoke signals. You have no idea what they mean. Unhelpful. You meet the tribe and they say, oh yeah, 2 is this, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, 3 is the tent is on fire. Good to know. If you don't have the translation, you're thinking, what is that? That's going to be a very big cigar. So this is what you're going to do with your weapon of mass construction and your piece of paper. You're going to draw a line vertically down the page. And on the left side of the top, you're going to write helpful. And on the right side of the top, you're going to write unhelpful. Okay? And you are going to give yourself buzzwords. Okay? What is helpful? First word, alert. Now, alert is both a verb and an adjective. Okay? I want you on alert to recognize whether it's a rehearsal or the real deal. I want you to be aware, be alert to the patterned behavior you are performing that you didn't consciously choose to do. You ever walked into the kitchen for something and 10 minutes later you realize that you were holding a half-empty bag of potato chips? That's the subconscious. Okay, the second word I want you to write down is focus on the left-hand side. What is helpful is to be alert and have the capacity to alert. What is helpful is the ability to focus, not stare at the big picture and panic because there's too many details to take in. And not, for so many of us with ADHD, not compulsively try to get more information, more information, more information, more information. No, no, no. That's panic. That's unhelpful. Focus on the big deal and stay there. Why am I here? What am I doing? Who does it serve? What does it change? Why do they care? What's in it for me? That's your focus. That's your diagnostic list for your focus. It is also your list for alert. And the third item is list 3 things. The first is what you're thinking. On a scale of 1 to 10, is your brain a jumble? The second one is how you're feeling. On a scale of 1 to 10, are you calm? Are you confused? Are you on point? Calm, confused, on point. Write those down. The third one is, are you ready? Do you have a plan? Do you have a strategic application for the plan? And the biggest one of all that people forget, ignore, don't even realize is there. Do you have the logistics that will get you where you want to go? People will have a plan, a great idea. Yeah. And they'll have a strategy. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're all going to do this. Yeah. And then what? At the end of the day, what are the logistics? How do you get there? And what do you do when you get there? Those are the 3 things on the helpful side. On the unhelpful side, shallow breathing. Are you breathing shallow? Okay, put your hand on your stomach. Put your hand, and I don't mean on your belly down below. I mean right under your chest. Put your hand there and get that coming in and out. Get that expanding and contracting. Breathe slow. 3 beats in, pause 3 beats, 3 beats out. Do that 3 times. Okay. The second one is the opposite of focus is panic. Are you panicking? How many thoughts on a scale of 1 to 10, how many thoughts are jumbling and juggling for your attention? If it's more than 3, you are panicking. And the last one is the 3 things to do to become aware. How you think, how you feel, how you act. The opposite of that is, and Susan and I have talked to this, on a scale of 1 to 10, how fast are you spinning? That's your homework. That's your prep work. That's your in case of danger break glass piece of paper with the weapon of mass construction. How we change a pattern is by creating a new pattern. Every day, start your day with your later folder. Write down the things that have bugged you, upset you, draw a line underneath, move forward to the next phase of your day, get out your later folder. This keeps you on point. This keeps you on track. When you have a break after something, get that piece of paper out of your later folder. Do a diagnostic right now. And at the end of the day, when you're in bed and you've had a look at all the stuff you were able to process carefully and successfully throughout the day, and you give yourself a pat on the back, unfold that piece of paper. Look at the things that are listed there. And at the bottom of the page, rate how well you did managing them today. If it's low, that's okay. You're just beginning. They say it takes 90 days to unwire brain we rewired, Rob. They say it takes 90 days. I have seen, and I'm going to have to go and find and then share with you the link. There is a woman who has done a study and created an exercise where she uses an additional prompt, and she has been able to inspire and train people to rewire effectively in a week. And I know, Rob, you either know about this, and we're going to talk about it in our next conversation, or you want to know about this. And I think it's important for all of us to understand that there is a way to override what we have been doing without thinking. There is a way to make it work. Exactly, Rhea. Exactly. And the other thing too that I want to talk to about on our next video, I want to get some more information, and I want to have, actually, you know what's probably a really great idea? We're going to be starting, Gary and I are going to be starting our Now What Wednesdays very soon. And maybe we want to save this. Rhea, I'm thinking that we want to talk to you, with you, about the mirror therapy. Rob, are you aware of mirror therapy? Maybe we want to get a 4-way conversation going about this. It's fascinating and it's exciting and it works. And that's what we all want. Okay, I'm a little early today. Finally, you're saying she's not going to go on for the full hour. I'm going to love you and leave you. There's a storm coming and I have an errand to run. So I want to get out and back and be safe. So just to update you, over 3,000 views on LinkedIn last week of the 2 ABCASTs. Over 6,000 views on LinkedIn of the game-changing, life-changing combination of 468 and 469 on the 9th and the 11th of June. Something's happening, kids. The village is waking up. And they're saying, wait, what? What on earth is that woman doing? And the answer is everything I can. So you know the drill. Before I tell you the drill, in case you've forgotten, if any of this resonates, and if any of you feel ready, reach out. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube. And let's see what we can do about helping you navigate your Pivotry in motion moment. Let's get you working the lion effect to find your place and set you free to be. All right? Okay, the drill. Be good to you. You deserve it. Remember to hug your loved ones. They deserve it too. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making this work, because without you, it's a rehearsal. I'll catch you next time.